Hey guys, welcome back to this video. What we're going to be doing in this one is basically taking user inputs. So in the last video we discussed variable types, and in the video before that we discussed how to create scripts. So now we're going to put that all together and write a script that takes a name from a user and basically prints that name and manipulates the name. So the first thing that we're going to do is hop on over to idle. Once on idle, once again, open up your script window, and that's either by pressing Control N or File New. In this script window, the first thing we're going to do is assign a variable. So what are we going to be taking in from the user? Well, I'm going to take his name. So I want the name data variable to basically be stored there. What am I putting into this field? Well, this is where we said we're going to be taking user input. So the way user input is done in Python is as simple as it sounds. You write input and then you write a bracket. You can see here Python's already telling you what it's doing. It says read a string from standard input. So what I want to do in this box is basically give the user a prompt. So I want the user to know what are they typing. So I would use, put a string here and write, what is your name? Close that off. So what's that doing? That's asking the user what is their name, and it's prompting them to give you a response. Once I've received their name, what do I want to do? Well, we're going to say hello, whoever their name is, and return that back to the user. So I'm going to write print name, and remember to use a comma here because we want a space between their name and whatever's following. And then I'm going to add a string here saying name, and it's going to say, so say I write Milan, how are you? And we can close that off. So it's going to say, what is your name? You're going to say whatever your name is. So Milan in my example. And then the computer is going to ask, Milan, how are you? And that's the end of the program essentially. And the reason we're testing this is we're going to say, run that, test_3. So what's your name? Well, my name's Milan. So it's going to say, Milan, how are you? And that's that. Or we can manipulate this as well. We can do print name times 2, and that would print out 2 of the names. Or print name plus name if you want to join my name up with another name. And lastly, we can do print 0 to print out the last letter of someone's name. So these are all concepts we discussed in the previous video. We're just applying it to this new way of collecting data from a user. Press F5, run that. So what's my name? Milan. And you can see there it's automatically ran all the commands we've told the application to run. And there's nothing more to that. That's how you collect user input. So now something else I'm going to bring into your attention is how do you tell the user not to type a number, for example, as their name? So if we did str stands for strings, which is the data type we've been working with. Str, bracket, and then input, and then bracket, and then put only strings, please. And then request that from the user and close off the brackets. Now that's going to say to the user, only return strings here. So now that I think about it, I don't want to overwrite our name variable, so I'm going to write strings equals that. And we can have numbers equals int input only numbers, please. So those 2 lines of code, what are they doing? Well, the first one's requesting the user only enter a string, and the second one is asking the user to only enter a number. I'm going to run a quick test to see what happens when you enter a number in the string one, and what happens if you enter an integer in the if you enter a string in the number one. So run that code right there. It's going to ask for my name, print that. So only enter a string, please. Well, I'm going to enter a number. And then we're going to enter a string here. And we get an error. So now my question to you is why did the for not throw an error? Does anyone know? Well, the reason is that for can be taken as a string. If you remember in our first video when we were looking at printing things, I said to you, you can print 5 plus 2 with air quotes on it. And that basically prints out the statement 5 plus 2. So this 4 here is not an integer and therefore cannot be used in maths because it is a string. Now, why did that not work for milling? Well, because you can't have strings in place of an integer. An integer can only essentially be an integer. So therefore we've got our first error there. And that error says that you cannot use this literal, which is referring to whatever was entered, for the integer command, which is what was in front of the input. So that's all we're going to be really covering in this video here. It's a very short one on how do you accept input from users. And if there are any questions about this or anything we've covered in the previous videos, please leave it in the comments below and I'll be sure to get back to you as soon as possible. And if there's any advice on anything that I can improve in this channel or anything, please let me know too. I will really try my best to implement those changes. So I hope you guys have had fun coding. I hope you're looking forward to the next few videos. And I hope you guys have fun coding in your own free time. So thanks guys for watching.